This book, Indictment, the criminal justice system on trial, answers a once-in-a-generation question, which is if we could design a new criminal justice system from scratch, what would it look like? And so that's what this book seeks to do. It puts the criminal justice on trial. The witnesses are the people whose lives have been devastatingly impacted by the system, the people who work in and around the system, people who research it, study it, and all of those folks painted a damning picture, which is the criminal justice system isn't broken, it's actually perfectly designed to get the abysmal results that it's getting.
It's very disturbing emotionally when you read these stories of people who have been, experienced the system. And these are often people who have suffered significant trauma in their lives, which has, affected their behavior, how the system completely seems incapable of dealing with and addressing those kinds of issues. And therefore, how can we reform this?
We know from research going back to the 1950s that incarcerating someone actually makes them more likely to reoffend. So rather than follow a focus on punishment and blame and judgment, instead what I propose is a transformative system where our goal is to transform the trauma and harm. The harm experienced by survivors, but as well as the traumas that have experienced often since early childhood and intergenerationally of people who are incarcerated.
It was the first book that actually made me feel hopeful about what might happen next. He really provides policymakers in particular with a blueprint on what changes he thinks they should make to improve the system so that there's a chance of actually rehabilitation.
I think the biggest moments for me have been when people who I interviewed, both survivors of very horrific crime and people who have been incarcerated, and just hearing the gratitude that they had that their story's been told. And that's the best thing you could ever want as an author. And it also, very close second, would be people who come to me and say, I read your book and I've changed my mind. I used to think we just needed more police and lock people up longer, but I see now that doesn't work and I understand why it doesn't work. And there are other things that will make us all safer.